Yes, definitely. I think that I think that our field in terms of languages is very subjective, and it relies. I mean, the proficiency that we are able to help them acquire, and the level of comfort in themselves that we can help them acquire relies a lot in the way we create our class dynamics, and in the way that we are able to shift our attention from content delivery to really the class design as a whole, you know. So going back to your question, I always try to, from day one to say, you know, main tool, this is a team, this is 50-50, and you have to do your job in order to be able to become proficient. But beyond that, in order to be able to feel that you are progressing in your language path, it's not me saying how good or how weak your skills are. It's yourself, and that is something that starts from day one. So self-reflection, a lot of conversations on time management, especially when it comes to a flipped classroom, because they need to be able to organize themselves in order to come to our meetings. It doesn't mind if it's in a physical space or in the live session. They need to come ready, because they need to know that the purpose of that meeting is to, I don't know, to help them um, become proficient, to help them feel confident and comfortable. And that is not only my job, it's their job. So they need to be reliable in the skills that they develop, and they need to reflect on those skills at all instances, in all the instances of the learning process. So number one tool, help them make time to reflect on their own skills, on their own needs, and on the strategies that they are able to build. And second thing, there are a lot of, if we talk about tools like digital tools, there are a lot of very useful tools that help them practice outside of the classroom, reinforce skills, and really be aware of how much they can do with the target language.
We have used Linguafolio, and Linguafolio has changed a bit over the years from being an e-Linguafolio where it was fully online and the kids could interact by working directly in the online platform, to now it's not quite the same platform that we're using. It's the same ICANN standards, it's the same self-assessment, but it's more teacher has to give them something and then they can respond, because they can't just upload their own artifacts. But it's a great tool because when the students can take ownership of how they are improving and what they are learning or what they aren't, it allows the teacher and the student to be able to know where there are strengths and weaknesses. And when the student comes up with that on their own, it allows usually for the growth to go a little bit deeper when the student takes that ownership.
I think that is a great question, and that is something that not only online instructors should do, but everybody should do, because I think that the learning process and progress is something that we help students with, and it's a path that we help them develop. But they are all, um, they cannot rely on us at all times, in every single step. So I think that that is a key.
I love it because, as I said, when the kids have that ownership, when they can log in and they can see all the standards and they can check off what they can do, and that helps them see where they are going. And so if they're realizing that I have not gotten very far, it lets them put it back on themselves. It lets them take that ownership. And it often sparks a bit of curiosity for the student that wants to be engaged and wants to move forward. They have then the thought of, oh, I see where this is going. I see why my teacher wants me to do X, Y, and Z that I think are kind of boring, but my goal is to get to here. And when a teacher can use that to let the students see their path and see their progress, it really can strengthen the learning that the student does. When a student takes ownership, that really changes the whole direction.
I think that in order to convey to students that this self-assessment and this awareness of their progress in learning the target language, um, um, the only way to convey that to them is to create a very comfortable atmosphere. As I was mentioning before, language is not easy. The field is not easy because it's subjective. Again, there are a lot of factors that can affect the proficiency of the students, but not only that, the performance. Because different personalities, you have different personalities, you have different levels in terms of skills. And usually, if the atmosphere in the classroom and the dynamics in the classroom are not well established, you will have always people afraid of not only assessing and reflecting on their own progress, but also share and be able to say, you know what, I'm working in a group right now. This is my team. These are my partners, and we need to rely on each other and rely on strategies that we all can share. And in order to share that, we need to know weaknesses. So I think that the key is the way you create presence in the classroom. It doesn't mind if it's a physical classroom or an online classroom. And for this, I think that community of inquiry is an amazing framework that can help us be aware of our participation in the online environment, how it is that we interact with students, how it is that we portray ourselves, and how it is that we create these dynamics that are going to be the basis, in my opinion, for the success of the class.
I have not had students have great success at importing their own artifacts. A lot of times they don't know, or they haven't been able to connect the dots to see where they're trying to go. So what they import doesn't actually show what I hoped they would show. Now it's still beneficial because it's still letting them see what they're doing, but um, this is a question that I struggle with being able to fully answer. I think when the students take ownership and when the teachers let the students take ownership, and it's hard for that because sometimes they'll be like, oh, great, I'll do only X and totally not do any speaking ever whatsoever. And that's not obviously the goal. We want them to use everything, but when they can take ownership. So if you use a choice board where they have to do certain tasks, but they can choose certain tasks, sometimes that is really beneficial. Sometimes pre-tests and post-tests can let them show their work, but other times students just get frustrated because they say the pre-test, they didn't know it. So what were they supposed to do? And then they miss the connection to the post-test. So it really, I think if a teacher builds a classroom of respect where there is the reflection, where the student is expected to reflect and the teacher has built that in, I think those kinds of things can happen more. When a student is just going through the motions and a teacher is just going through the motions, sometimes that can get just lost because they don't see the purpose behind what they're doing.
This is an amazing question, and I love the answer too. So I think that when it comes to this topic, to this concept, many of our students, because of the field, I would say, and because of their previous experiences, become with a fixed mindset, you know, and it can be really, really hard to make them believe that they can really set their goals and work towards those goals and achieve them. So I think that being able to, again, create this dynamic of okay, this is the content, this is the tools that I bring for you guys to work with that, This is the set of I don't know, practice, assessment, all the tools that we include in a class. But beyond that, this is the dialogue that we're going to have. This is the time of the class that we are going to have in order for you guys to start believing that you can move forward, that you can be not only proficient, but confident within this class and beyond this class. And I think that if you don't have a growth mindset, there's no way to progress, you know, and it's up to us to really help them know about that concept and help them share their experiences because they are the basis for whatever they bring to the classroom, and then help them overcome any obstacle that they can have. So I think that's a concept that I really, try to incorporate in the class and say, this is a class, this is a structure, but there's something that has to be done within yourself in order to be able to achieve success in this class, and I'm here to help you.
So in language, it's not, you don't just learn directly in a line. You don't master one thing and then move on to the next in language. It circles all the way around, and you have to keep growing. And sometimes you might not be ready for something in one area because you haven't done something else, but somebody else could do it differently. And so it doesn't mean that that the student should feel like they are wrong or that they should be penalized because they're, as the circles are going and as the brain is making connections, different people are different and the way they're going to hit it is differently. And so the growth mindset helps the students to feel like, okay, I don't have it now, but that doesn't mean that I won't get it. Or just because I got mine in a different order doesn't mean that that was bad. The goal was still the proficiency at the end. And so growth mindset opens up that dialogue, that channel between the teacher and the student to be able to continue those discussions.